Robin Lundberg Show coming at you live as always, Monday through Thursday here on the YouTube, the Twitter, or the X gonna give it to you, and Facebook. Make sure you like, subscribe, all those things, comment, get your comments going early here. And I wanted to start off with what I consider the other side of the coin of my last show. You know, I talked about the Brooklyn Nets, and people know me for the Nets. I mean, obviously, I'm well known. I have many leather-bound books, and I'm known within the Nets community in a certain sense. Not so much with the Clippers, but I was thinking about this since seeing the presentation of the Clippers stuff earlier today. You know, the Clippers are the other team in LA, and they've been trying to find an identity for the longest time, other than being the other team in LA. And they revealed the new uniforms earlier today, which you can see here. You got the logo. A lot of people probably found out that a Clipper was actually a ship. I don't know if people knew that before today. And you got the redesigned threads on the uniforms and everything like that. And here's the thing. When I first saw it, I thought, this is not different enough. This is not different enough. They need to change their name. They need to start from scratch. It needs to be a complete rebuild of the organization and the franchise. And then I got to thinking about it. And I realized that's the same thing people say about the Nets. You know, the Nets need to move to Seattle and all that. And I looked at the attendance, and the Clippers' attendance is pretty good. So is it perhaps, are they viewed as lesser than or no good because the other fan base is obnoxious? Could that be the case? Right? Like, because Lakers fans are so loud and proud, does that hurt the Clippers? Just like Knicks fans in New York, where the Knicks fans are so loud and proud, you can make the case that they've created this idea that the Nets are trash and garbage and nobody cares about the Nets, right? When you looked at the valuation of the Nets based on the ownership stake, you saw that the Nets are worth a lot of money. And obviously, Steve Ballmer paid a lot of money for the Clippers. They weren't like in the discount bin. He didn't get the Clippers at TJ Maxx or nothing like that. So maybe the Clippers are more relevant than we think, are or can be cooler than we think. And if you just look at the uniforms, if you just look at the threads and you compare them to the Lakers without knowing the history, I would say the Clippers stuff is cleaner. I mean, that is what I would more likely wear in my day-to-day life is the Clippers stuff. Now, it's hard to just, Men in Black mind erase the history of the Lakers, obviously. But that bold gold, if you didn't know that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played there and Magic Johnson played there and Shaq and Kobe played there and they won all these championships, and you just did a blind sample of what would you rather wear, the Clippers or the Lakers, you might have people say the Clippers. So I did want to explore whether they're cooler or more relevant than they get credit for. John Blaine says, "Hey, Robin, hello. How are you? Guys, always good to say hi. But when you send the chats in, also give me your the topics, what you want to talk about, what you want to bounce off me." Berkey711, hey, Rob, I think it's just more because of the Lakers have won so many titles and the Clippers haven't. Fans being obnoxious isn't the main reason, in my opinion. Well, yes, the Lakers, along with the Celtics, are the two most successful franchises in the history of the NBA as well. That hurts when you're trying to build upside that. I mean, the Knicks and Nets thing, there's a little bit of a parallel there, I suppose, right? There's a little bit of a parallel, but the Knicks do not have the success that the Lakers have. So I just wanted to see what people thought about that. It's not like a burning hot topic today. In fact, I almost switched it at the last second. I just didn't have that much time to the latest with LeBron James and Bronny James, because I realized that apparently Bronny James was taking off some draft boards or something, and LeBron had something to say about that and weighed in and is getting mocked himself for weighing in. Here's what LeBron had to say about Bronny. And He said, can you all please just let the kid be a kid and enjoy college basketball? The work and results will ultimately do the talking, no matter what he decides to do. If y'all don't know, he doesn't care what a mock draft says. He just works. Earned, not given. Here's the thing. When it comes to LeBron and Bronny, there's a fair reaction here in the sense where LeBron just recently said that the Bronny could play on the Lakers. He was good enough to play on the Lakers. So people calling him for hypocrisy on that, it's more than fair. It's more than fair for people to come out and say, you're being a hypocrite, LeBron. You said this kid could play on the Lakers. You're the one who gassed him up and talked about how good he was. And now you want to be like, please don't say anything about him. And that's fair. It is fair. And at the same time, you look at the situation and the circumstances where people have talked about them playing together for years now. LeBron has intimated heavily that he wants to play with Bronny in the future. And therefore, people are going to jump on these comments from LeBron. And LeBron has been known to say some stuff and then say the opposite or bring attention to himself and then be like, oh, what did I do? Did I do that? So that part of it I understand. I really do. That part of it I understand. However, here's the thing. Bronny James suffered a cardiac arrest just this past summer. And I feel like people aren't giving credit to that or taking that into account at all in how quickly they're lashing out about Bronny and LeBron here. Because that's a young man who almost, could have died. And it's a father too, right? So you have a father who, when he's saying this positive stuff about Bronny, he's attempting to boost him up like a dad does. And he's probably a proud dad, right? He's a proud dad who is celebrating his kid and is trying to boost up his kid and all these things. And so, yeah, he might say some stuff. But imagine anybody out there who's a dad and going through what LeBron and that family had to go through with Bronny. And then imagine you're Bronny and going through what you had to go through and get back on the court. Now, I say all that to say, maybe relax with the takes and the lashing out immediately because LeBron James is involved. Maybe take a deep breath and take a step back. Because where Bronny is as a basketball player, I have no idea what he's going to wind up being. He was never touted as some surefire prospect, right? He was never touted that way. But even still, he deserves a little grace period. When you go through something that traumatic, that's emotionally, physically, everything traumatic. Your heart essentially stopping. So I think people need to relax a little bit before they lose their minds on that. Craig Ginghold says, if more people knew the Clippers were originally the Buffalo Braves, it might add some cool factor. Bob McAdoo played for them. Bob McAdoo shot like this, right? Bob McAdoo. The Clippers, they're just such a strange spot because they're better than the Lakers right now, right? They're a better team than the Lakers right now. They've been right in that mix for the last couple of years. But it's kind of like the Nets, also in the sense of not only being the second team in the city, but in being a team that doesn't really have a homegrown player associated with it. All the guys on the team feel like mercenaries. From Kawhi to Paul George, who was traded for, to obviously James Harden just now. just like the Nets had KD and Kyrie and James Harden. And that changes the dynamic versus, I mean, LeBron's a bit of a mercenary for the Lakers at this stage of his career, but the Lakers had Shaq and Kobe. Well, I mean, Shaq doesn't really count. Kobe, though, certainly counts. Magic certainly counts. And a lot of teams have that as part of their identity. The Clippers don't, I mean, who's the best Clipper ever that was drafted by the Clippers? I really have to think about that before I, fully wade in. Really have to think about that. Michael Martin says, is that a polar? I feel like, I don't know if you're kidding or not. Yes. I've said before, this show needs to be sponsored by Polar Seltzer, because Polar is, I drink a lot of seltzer water. And, I started with the Polar because at the BJ's, they have the nice variety pack, when you're trying to stock up. But I've really come to enjoy their various flavors and product. And I got this one at ShopRite. They had like different flavors that are not in the variety pack. So I'm, trying those out. Robert Parker says, that's a great nuanced take, Robin. Unfortunately, so much of our media is reactionary, not nuanced like you. So they just react without thought about LeBron. Yeah, I mean, his son had a heart attack. Or I mean, I don't. You know what I'm trying to say. Cut the kid a break. Cut the family a break. In this case, it's not that serious. Yes, I mean, LeBron said it. He said he could play for the Lakers right now. He was hyping up his kid. And is what he's saying now hypocritical to those statements? Yes. Yes. But my goodness, you got to think about it. You got to remember what the family had to go through. What, the kid. I say kid because he is. And I'm not trying to be demeaning. He's a young man. What he had to go through. I mean, imagine being on the other side of that phone call or text message or whatever it was. And I'm not talking 2 years ago, which would still be recent for something like that. I'm talking a few months ago this happened. We have no idea how that's affected Bronny as a basketball player or a human being. I mean, from what I've read, it doesn't seem like it'd be the kind of thing that takes a long-term toll on you, because it's almost like it was out of whack and got reset, right? But nonetheless, that's a traumatic event to go through. It's a traumatic life event. Could be a life-ending event. So I don't like seeing everyone losing their mind over LeBron James in that regard. In specificity to this specific topic, because LeBron and Bronny, they went through something. They're still probably dealing with the ramifications. And yeah, Bronny should be able to go at his own pace. In some ways, it's got to be a gift and a curse to have LeBron as your dad. Much more of a gift than a curse. Like the gift part is like way up here and the curse part is way down here. But the downside is you'll never be properly evaluated for yourself, right? And people will always accuse you of being overrated or lump you into other stuff based on what LeBron has said. But in this case, I think, you just got to relax a little bit. One of the other topics I had planned is I put out a little short video today on my hip hop producer, Mount Rushmore, and wanted to see that got a lot of comments and interaction on Twitter here, and the like. And let's see if I can pull it up for you real quick. The hip hop producer, Mount Rushmore, that I put together, which was just based on one of these tweets. Let me give the credit. Is that a real question? Is the account? But I made a little video about it and put it together and put it out earlier today. And of course, with these Mount Rushmores, you only get 4 faces, right? You only get 4 faces. And I went with the RZA first, And that's something that I've rediscovered in recent years. Kanye West, as you can see right there, and I'll get through the methodology on these things in just a second. Dr. Dre, due to impact, and then the last two were sort of a toss up. Two Virginia guys in Timbaland and Pharrell. They were, the final choice would be between them, and I basically said it was a coin flip. But when it comes to RZA, I've watched a lot of the old Wu-Tang stuff of late. And that meant like the Of Mics and Men documentary. I don't know if you've seen that. And the Hulu show, which I enjoyed. And it gave me a newfound appreciation for RZA when I was going back and revisiting that music, because not only did he create music, he created a movement. He was the architect, the abbot of the Wu-Tang Clan. He got that entire thing off the ground and running. And if it wasn't for him, there is no Wu-Tang Clan. There is no Wu-Tang Clan. So he deserves super props for that. Not to mention, he made all the music for a legendary run. And the Wu-Tang Clan, what's interesting about them is they don't sound like anybody else, right? Wu has their own distinct, unique sound. It's not reminiscent of almost anything else. I'm trying to think if anything's even sounded like them since. The closest I think anything has gotten to sounding like Wu-Tang since Wu-Tang is So Appalled on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That felt kind of like a Wu-Tang record. And it was an ensemble record as well. And to put out 36 Chambers and Only Built for Cuban Links and Liquid Swords and Wu-Tang Forever, all in a short period of time, is just legendary stuff. And Liquid Swords especially, when I go back and play that, that's one of the best albums ever made. And the aesthetics, it just has such a cool sound and vibe, Liquid Swords does. I love that record. And the back-to-back songs of Fourth Chamber and Fourth Chamber followed by Shadowboxing is as good as it gets. That's as good as it gets. Then there's Kanye. And for all his antics, you cannot dismiss Kanye's catalog. I mean, the stuff he produced for other people, most notably Jay-Z. I mean, The Blueprint, Kanye had a heavy hand in. Obviously, he did The Takeover and Izzo and Heart of the City and Never Change. From that point on, it wasn't as heavy with Hove on Hove's records too much. What do you have? Encore and Lucifer on the Black album, I believe. And some other great songs with Jay that he produced and for other people that he produced. And of course, Watch the Throne. But then there's also Kanye's solo career. And Kanye, as a solo artist, legendary status too, and he produced so much of that. So I can't leave Kanye off the Mount Rushmore. The third is Dr. Dre. And I say Dr. Dre with reverence for the impact that Dre had on the game. I mean, Dre wouldn't be my personal choice, to be honest with you. He's not the guy that I think I have to put up there from my personal preferences. But he had such an impact on music and the industry and the sound from the West Coast that you can't leave Dr. Dre off when you have Snoop and everything that came out of the Chronic 2001 and all that stuff. And then the last slot, like I said, my argument is Pharrell and Timbaland, and I could go either which way on any given day. I mean, they also produced outside of just like rap. Tim did a lot of R&B. Pharrell did so many different projects. NERD, the first NERD album is a classic album. If you've never heard that, Skateboard P on that. Timbaland just has some of those beats that sound like they're from the future, no matter what year they were done in, like Pony or Get Your Freak On. I mean, I remember when I first heard Get Your Freak On, I was in my 95 Ford Escort and I had to pull the car over. So I was like, what? I was like, yo, this is too crazy. And then the Neptunes had that legendary run too. I mean, with the what? You know, the Neptunes and Pharrell. And those guys are unreal. They're unreal. So, I mean, that's those are those spots there on the Mount Rushmore. And the thing with Mount Rushmore, you don't have that many spots. Because there are plenty of other people with a case. DJ Premier. My thing with Primo is, and this would apply to RZA too, but RZA had such a distinct movement and impact in that regard, where like the Wu-Tang brand was created off his back. Premier's run kind of ended a long time ago. He's had some tracks here and there, but like when he was the guy, mid to, late 90s, early 2000s. By the way, Justin Timberlake benefited tremendously early in his career from Pharrell and Timbaland. Working with them, that was probably the smartest move he ever made. Justin Timberlake. So those are some of the names. No ID. I mean, 444 right there. You see it. He did the whole thing. Was Kanye's mentor. No ID is an unbelievable producer. Q-Tip, an unbelievable producer. Tribe Called Quest, that whole sound. Rick Rubin, going back before that, the Run DMC, Beastie Boys kind of days. Then you got other regional sounds. Manny Fresh. Who had the battle with Manny Fresh, though? I feel like Manny Fresh got beat in that battle pretty good. Was that Scott Storch? It was. And then you forget about somebody like Scott Storch and modern hip hop, Alchemist and all these guys. I mean, there's a Just Blaze when you're talking Jay-Z records. I mean, Just Blaze has some of the most iconic Jay-Z records there are. He's got PSA, which I could argue should be the national anthem, and you don't know. So those are some of the guys that I had to also wanted to give the honorable mention to. By the way, make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, all those things in the channel, to the show. As I'm with you Monday through Thursday here, 8 o'clock or as close to it. I might have to move the slots, a little bit here and there just because of practices and games and all that. But the consistency will be there. I promise. Especially while we're in this stage of things here with the show, as we're building and as I'm figuring out what everything's going to look like going forward. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Manny Fresh production. Yeah, I mean, he had the stuff with Juvenile and Wayne and all them. I mean, isn't Manny don't back that, that's Manny Fresh, no? So, I mean, I'm not saying Manny Fresh didn't have great songs. I mean, he had great impact on hip hop, period. There's no question. And it's funny, people say the Mount Rushmore stuff and they get tired of talking about Mount Rushmores and arguing Mount Rushmores, but it's just like the LeBron Jordan thing. I mean, that's where the backbone, the basis of all this comes from. And Rye, bring back Stick to Sports or make it a segment. Well, I mean, this is kind of that. I could bring some people on. Some of you guys want to actually come on, I could shoot you the link. If there's anything, if you ever really disagree with me or really just want to vibe or shoot the ish about something, let me know. Like I said, this thing will evolve. It will change. I know it, I've kind of been doing it in this format here since the launch for the most part, adding a little bit of bells and whistles here and there. But that's because, like I said on the inaugural show, this is what I know how to do. So I'm doing what I know how to do. and hopefully, it's like having the engine and then souping up the car. We'll soup up the car as we go, no question. But if you ever want to be on the show, hit me up, let me know. And I could shoot you guys a link, and we could debate something, argue something, maybe play an elimination kind of game or something where we get a bunch of you guys on the same show. So no issues with that idea at all. Top hip hop producers: Dre clearly at the top, Rick Rubin, RZA, Timbaland. I mean, that's not a bad list. I can't be mad at that list. I think you have to have Kanye on it though. It's tough for me to leave Kanye off when you consider his solo career and what he did for other people, and of course what he did with Jay-Z. And that's the it's difficult to ignore what Kanye West has done. We got to get Polar to sponsor. Yes, please, but make it a movement. Make it a movement. We can get Polar to sponsor. Trust me, that would help. That would help. If you go strictly from an artist production, Dr. Dre is at the top, but Kanye doesn't need anybody. That's the difference. I mean, that's the thing with Dre. Quiet as kept is Kanye too. Now Kanye has a whole team of people that work with him. But a lot of Dre's stuff is sort of ghost produced too. Like even Still DRE is a Scott Storch beat for the most part. So that's an aspect, a deeper conversation. But when you just talk about impact and the whole sound created for the West Coast, from the Chronic to Doggy Style to the introduction of Eminem and 50 Cent in the club, you have to put Dre on the list. Slight edge to P over Timbaland. That 2003 run with 40% of Neptune songs on the radio is different. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Tim's joints though, like, I mean, I think you're right if I'm going outside of the J's. Maybe I'm skewed a little bit because of my affinity for Hove, because I think Tim's Jay-Z joints are better than P's Jay-Z joints. And I guess I sort of like the Missy whole thing too, like putting an artist on like that, or helping put an artist on. Allure's a good one. But when you say Dirt Off Your Shoulder and Big Pimpin', that's not even a great song. It doesn't hold up as a great song to the same degree because of the content. I mean, even Jay would tell you, but as a beat, Jigga What, Jigga Who, there's just some awesome. I love Ola Oviedo, by the way, too. It stands out on that album to me. Oh, yeah, I mean, Timbaland and Aaliyah was a thing, like Timbaland and Missy. I mean, these are legends, regardless of who you're talking about. When you're putting these people on this list, let's make a list of each of the artist's greatest hits elimination style just for fun. Hey, you want to put the bracket together or come up with the ideas? Help me out. I think I said also on the first show that you guys were going to be the producers, and I did mean that. It will help out as we roll along here. I've been able to self-sustain everything, but I don't want to have to self-sustain it all forever either. It always helps. Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. And you know what? I powered through a lot of this too. Like, I'm not, I haven't felt my best on some of these, like particularly today. Well, like I gotta do the show. I can't just be like, sorry guys, I'm not feeling well, because I feel like I let you guys down if I don't do the show now, and that's something I don't want to do. A couple things to move through really quickly. I also saw Miles Morales could be heading to the MCU. I don't think that's a surprise. right? Like, I don't think anybody's surprised by that. I hope this is an actual report and I'm not sharing fake news. I didn't have time to really vet this um, before the show because it was right before the show. But it's just common sense that Miles Morales will be brought into the Spider-Man universe sooner rather than later. What a great character, too. Such a natural, organic way to make what is a super relatable character in Spider-Man even more relatable. Because the Peter Parker Spider-Man has always been relatable. I mean, kid that has to deal with regular stuff, right? And I think that's why Spider-Man became the most popular character over time. He was relatable to adults and kids. He has a cool uniform. He's got cool action, wisecracks, all that. So Spider-Man just before that was good enough. And then the Miles Morales character comes along, and it's not one of these things where they're recasting Peter Parker and making him different. This is a unique, organic character in Miles Morales who, from Brooklyn, his ethnic background different, obviously, than Peter Parker. Got the Jordans, all that stuff, and he's awesome. I mean, you could argue Miles over Peter if you wanted. So we knew it was just a matter of time. And then when you look at the video games, right? The video games are Peter and Miles. So it's not just one or the other there. Not just one or the other there. And then the last thing I had was just some of the stuff I saw from Elimination Chamber the other day. Rhea Ripley had her moment and her bookmarks. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet that was bookmarked into oblivion. I might as well share it here. Let's see. It's probably the first thing that comes up. No, it's not. It's not the first thing that comes up. This isn't the one that was bookmarked as much as the other one, but it's the same shot. You get the same point. Someone just sounds like they fell on the floor upstairs. But one of these tweets had 30,000 bookmarks of this footage right there. I wonder why. I wonder why that happened on the show. And then the other thing was Tiffany Stratton, who we've known Rhea Ripley as a star for a while and a main event type of talent. Tiffany Stratton looks like a main event type of talent right off jump. I mean, she came in there and she was super impressive. She was super impressive and really stood out in that women's elimination chamber match. So I think she made herself be known for sure. Tiffy time, right? That's her little saying. There you go, right there. So that's the stuff I had planned on the show for tonight. Anything else you guys want to get into before I get out of here and do catch up on Raw and the Nets game? Berkey brings up a good point. Maybe I do start to tailor the show time a little bit and move it a little bit around events and action and things that are occurring, because that Nets show did really well the other night, and I think a big reason it did really well is because I did it right after the Nets lost and everybody was all fired up. Oh, that's another thing to consider. I've done a show after a WWE press conference and all that as well, but that's a good idea. Michael Martin, Miles over Peter, a bridge too far. I mean, it's an argument. You could make the case. I'm not mad at either answer. I think it's fine. That's how good Miles is the point, because Peter is so great. That Miles is so good. It's like Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm versus Seinfeld, right? You could argue Curb Your Enthusiasm is better than Seinfeld. Doesn't mean Seinfeld wasn't iconically great. My God, Danny Adams, the Clippers uniforms are clean, but that logo ain't it. The logo looks like it would be on the corner of a polo shirt. That's what the logo looks like to me. But, I mean, they got to try something. They are trying something. And I'm not mad at it. Definitely not mad at it. Tiffany is going to be a megastar. Yeah, I mean, Hence why I brought her up. All right, Robin Lundberg show again, Monday through Thursday as of right now is the schedule. 8 o'clock as of right now. I might start to again shift the times a little bit based on my schedule, based on events and everything else going on in the world. But I will keep it consistent. No matter what happens, no matter where, what I'm doing. This Thursday, by the way, I will be returning to CBS Sports Radio this Thursday. In for Zach Gelb. Shout out to Zach. I used to do the Saturday morning show, for those of you familiar, on that station, and I haven't been there for a minute. And in fact, at that point in time, I had voluntarily left that show because it was just too much, and I had the kids, and I was doing all these things, juggling all these things, and it was hard. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make because I did that show for years. But it was Saturday morning. It was really early, 4 hours. And I, in fact, here's the truth of the matter. I was at a little kids soccer award tournament or award ceremony. I think after the last show I did there. And so this is a few years ago. My kids were young. I think it was Raj getting an award. And I couldn't be emotionally where I needed to be. And that's why I wanted to leave in the first place. To be in these moments and not tired and all those things. But I remember not being able to emotionally be there the way I wanted to. And I was still kind of distraught. Did I make the right decision? Did I make the wrong decision? That kind of thing. But what do they say? If you love it, let it go, and comes back to you, it's yours. So I will be back on those airwaves come this Thursday. Looking forward to that. Make sure you like and subscribe. Please comment, thumbs up, all that stuff. The more interaction, the better. If you've noticed and you've commented after the fact, I will get back to those comments as well. It's not just the live chat. Not everybody can consume it the same way. But I will talk to you guys tomorrow when it will be. Same Robin time and same Robin channel.